Hi, my name is Miki Ratsula, and today I'm going to show you how I produced my song, God and Politicians.
There is a day somehow, like you wouldn't believe.
This song has seen a couple different versions, but for the most part, it's really been structured around this main acoustic guitar riff that I originally wrote the song to, and that sounds like this. Let me show you what it sounds like without all this processing. So I put on a compressor, EQ, sketch cassette, and decapitator. So this is what that main guitar riff sounds like dry. I just recorded one take on the left, one take on the right, panned them hard left and right, and then yeah, put on compressor, EQ, decapitator just for some little bit of drive and grit, and then sketch cassette. These are kind of the settings I played with, and then a little bit of reverb. This riff is the main structure of the whole song. The whole song follows this entire riff, if you can see here. And then if you know anything about my music, it's that I love to add a bunch of guitar layers and vocal layers, so we'll get there. The other main guitar layer that's in here is this, it comes in the verse, it's this baritone guitar, like this. Without all the plugins, it sounds like this. Just yeah, compressor, EQ, decapitator, and some reverb again. Then I added banjo. I recently got a banjo and it's so fun, and I figured that it would add a cool texture to the song. So this is what it sounds like dry. It's just kind of like a pedal type of thing. I really EQ'd it out because I just wanted to have like some cool textures, a little bit of chorus on there, and then I wanted it to be pumping with the kick under there, so it's like this. And then right when all those guitars come in, we get this kick coming. The other main motif that's in this song, besides that main riff, is this key. So these are these subtle synths that are in just like the beginning. Then as we get into the chorus, I do a handful more guitars. So here's that main riff again in the chorus, and I layered in some cool strums. There's one that's just like on each chord, and then there's one with the little rhythm. And then there's this other guitar. And then if we go to the second chorus, there's a lot more guitars in there. There's another kind of more rhythmic one. I wanted it to have this pump in it, even though I already have, I already play this guitar pretty rhythmically. And I like the rhythm that it had, but it felt too much with everything else going on, so I added the pump in there so that it kind of just sat in the pockets. Right? And now you start to really get that like dancey feel. I had this cool little sample I found. It's just this like little loop, added some chorus on it, and it's this nice little texture. I love little floaty textures. And then I just wanted a simple bass, so I have one that's like just this sub that just follows the root. But then I also wanted one that has some movement, so this one's like this art bass. The synths kind of build as the song goes, so I saw this main motif here, following these chords. And And then I have this pad going on that starts in the pre-chorus, and if you see here, I have a filter on it that in the pre, it kind of opens up. Helps kind of lift into the chorus by opening up that filter. Then we have this little brass arp thing. And this one just has decapitator again on it and a little bit of tremolo. Just some other pads in here. I have these weird little counter melodies going on in the chorus. So they're the same melody, but they're two different synths. Pan left and right. And then you add it with that bass. And then I have a couple little like effect sounds in here. I have this reverse guitar, I have this impact that happens. And this weird little vocal chop. And then kind of adding to some of the little country elements I had, like with the banjo, I had this little lap steel sample in here that comes in like this. You know, just something a little fun in there. The drums were something that from the very beginning I knew I wanted this just for on the floor that comes in with the main guitar, right? And I've played it. I played around with a couple different types of drums in here, but I really kind of wanted to feel this like kind of like UK drum, like UK dance feel a little bit. So in the chorus, we just get a snare in there and a shaker, and it's just like this kind of big wet snare. In the verse, we get the snare, more of this kind of dry tone. And then it starts to get a little bit more fun as we get into this pre. I have this kind of like house shaker. Kind of like the bongos. You get the bass in there. Right. And then we get into the chorus and it's kind of the same thing. So the drums are pretty simple. Once I figured them out, like the sounds I wanted to have, they were pretty simple. Some other cool elements that I have in here, I had some like electric guitar in here. And then the same synths are there, but I added this big saw that comes in here, kind of adding to that dance feel. I really wanted the chorus and the outro to really feel like this just big gay party, so I wanted to have a lot of cool elements in there and a lot of like organic elements with my vocals and stuff. So I think one of my favorite things that I did here was made this vocal chop that sounds like this. And I have it filtered through that chorus. It opens and closes. So what I did with that was I took this main lead chorus that sounds like this.
Somehow, like you wouldn't believe.
Logic Pro's sampler is really great. I really enjoy it. So I loaded it into this sampler here and played it like this. So I just kind of played around until I heard something that I liked and I felt just like worked with the song. So yeah, that's what it sounded like dry, and I put on EQ, I put on a little alter boy, so it has a little bit of form and shift. I put on some chorus, a little bit of a reverb plate, some little bit of delay, another EQ, and then like I said earlier, I filtered out the I had a filter automated so it opens and closes, so it sounds like this. Another thing I added, with the same idea of these organic vocal elements was this outro. So, like I said, I have this main guitar riff playing. And I really wanted to have that melody, still there, the da 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 da. So I did basically exactly that. I recorded myself a bunch of times singing that melody as a group, and I just put on a bunch of effects and we get this sound. I kind of wanted it to feel like, like people are singing along to that, and in context it sounds like this. I think it just adds a cool little element. As per usual, my vocals, I have a lot of vocal stacks and a lot of ad-libs. It's just something I love to do. I really wanted the song to have a bunch of cool harmonies and stuff. So like, for example, in this second verse, we get some of this. I'm afraid you're buying what they're selling. Blame your losses on my friends and me. I hate this game cause no one's ever winning. From what I hear of Jesus, he'd agree. We could do a whole lot better here. Tell yourself you're doing better. Just something to remember. I love recording vocals. One thing I did too in this song is especially in the main lead chorus vocal, the reverb. I have a reverb on a bus to the vocal, and I have my usual. I just have a generic reverb on there, so I added kickstart on that same bus, so the reverb is actually pumping, so it sounds like this, which is pretty cool. Open air, meet you there, find me free. So you get kind of that like pump in there, which is cool. I really just wanted that pump to feel like it was there the whole time, this whole song. I think the last thing I can touch on is this big ad-lib that I have here, because I love recording ad-libs. With this one, let me play it for you with the lead on top. Somehow, like you wouldn't believe, open air, meet you there, find me free. Oh, I think we could be friends somehow. We could go dancing. One of my favorite settings for ad-libs like that is this, is Valhalla Delay's Ghost Perfect verb. I adjust it, based on what I need, but I really like that for an ad-lib. I think it just sounds so cool. Yeah, I think that's it. It was a pretty straightforward song to produce once I figured out exactly how I wanted it to sound and what I felt like the song itself deserved. But yeah, I hope that helped, and I hope that was interesting, and yeah, I hope you like the song.